So I graduated from St. John's University with bio major with a 3.7 GPA, so it's like okay. My role was to go to pharmacy school since my sister's a pharmacy too from St. John's, and I know many friends from like pharmacy, but out of many of them, 2 of them dropped out, so it's not really an easy course. But I like the idea of like there's a difference between liking the idea of actually doing it. You could hear like from my pharmacy sister, she's always complaining. There's a lot of work and a lot of stress. I think every job has a lot of stress, and we could try to cope with it so differently. And so why did I choose customs instead of pharmacy? Well, pharmacy I feel might not be right for me. There's no connection to it. But customs, I feel the test itself is more analytical. I like to gather information quickly and find out recent trends. So I think this is really helpful in this customs field. We should pursue career on the skills that we are good at. And I had no background in the customs to import, same as you guys too. So we're like the same position. And I think getting the license first is really good because it gives you credibility. It shows that you're putting the extra effort to step into this field. Okay. Oh, also before I took this custom license, I was preparing for the real estate. I passed that too. But then I feel it wasn't a good job because it's mostly based on commission, not salary. So basically, as right now the job market, the housing market isn't that well, I think. Okay. So why did I choose Kenvic training? So I found this school by Google. Right now everything's Google, right? Yeah. So this school has 9 years experience of offering a specialized course. So I'm really, from that moment I attended this open house, I knew this is this course because this is specialized. You should always go for the specialized because they know like the tips and tricks. And the price is reasonable. And I attended the classroom experience. There's also a video conference which if there's problem, like there's past lessons that I need trouble, I usually go back to it. So there's this data that they usually put out. And having like classmates is pretty good because you could study together, like a study buddy, and then you guys could be good friends. Yeah, and there's also many value-added services. So choosing this course is well worth it. Before I start, I knew this course from the day they give out the syllabus, the class curriculum. They listed a whole bunch of parts, so I knew they're specialized in finding what information are important. This is key important thing for taking the test. You want to know which part are important for it. So Mr. Hong is a perfect, good teacher. He simplifies all the difficult concepts and make it really simple. He makes charts, so you could take notes to it. Since it's open book, you could take it to the test. And there's many charts of forms, etc., etc. Okay, and then design. Okay, one important thing I want to talk about is before you have to understand fully of the test. So I just suggest you to go to the website CVP and read the whole thing about the test, how many fees it costs, and when's the last day to register, because these are really important. If some of my classmates, some people are not that prepared, they will ask me, when's the last day to register? And there will be a panic. So it's really important to read it over 2 or 3 times to know what the test is about, the content. And the general pattern for the test is 80-20. The CFR 19, right, Mr. Hong talked about the book. And 80% is for the regulation, and 20% is for classification test. So there's 80 multiple choice question, 5 answer choices. So it's like 3 minutes. Basic concept is the idea of first principles. It's like a science thing, like scientific method. So you try to break big problems into small problems. So what does that mean? So this is my master plan, like the low-hanging fruit. Basically means you should try to aim for the easy questions first. Easy questions, like ones that are memorized, Like you just know right away after doing so many questions. Like you don't need to go time over it. That's the low end hanging fruit. The second method is the 5 finger and the process of elimination. I learned this technique in taking GREs or like practice exam for SAT. So there's 5 multiple choice answers. So if you eliminate one answer, you could just like cross it out, like makes it easier on your head. I don't know, I just do it on my own. But I find that really helpful because since you're taking electronic version, so it's hard to cross out, eliminate all the wrong answers. So it's like a method to get to the correct answer. And the third step is really important. The 5 steps of reading the questions. I found this online, so I'll go over it the next slide. And memorizing the CFR is really important, like the parts. So you guys know you have to find the information quickly. So you have to memorize the class schedule, the part list, which they printed out. You could try to memorize it to see which one I need to go to. Like, if there's a question about customs brokers, you'll know it's part 111. And then labeling, they talk about this too. There's a video on it that the course provided, like to organize all the notes. There's a lot of notes. It's really heavy. And time management. So this is same concept as the low hanging fruit. So attack the easy questions and then you do the classification next. That's my strategy. And I practiced the old exams. I did 13 of them. So yeah, so I made an Excel sheet and then I did like 1 exam each day. There's about 13 exams, so it's like over 1,000 questions, and it's almost like 52 hours. I think it's really important to practice the old exams, especially some questions are recycled, but they changed it word to word. For the recent exam, there's 2 questions that they put out that is different, but it's the same pattern. So it's like 3 questions. So if you don't know one question, the others will follow. Like you don't know how to do it. But if you know one question, you get the other 2 questions right. Okay, the 5-step reading comprehension method that I explained. You can take this down because it's really important. I will explain this over. Okay, so you read the question stem, then you scan the answer choices, then you read the whole question, and then you reread the question, and you try to analyze the question. So I'll just give an example first. So like this is a customs broker example of a question. So you read the question first. Which of following is the value of the declared entry purposes? So you read that, and then you read the whole questions. You scan through it. And then the key important word is currency exchange rate. You'll know, well, you guys don't know yet, but it's basically the date of exportation means it's the the currency exchange rate. So that depends. So the car was shipped, so the date is March 25th, and then you will use some calculation. The answer is B. So this is really important. So you could okay, things to look out for. So when you're doing practicing questions, the classification questions, right? It's different from the current book that you would use. So you have to go back to the archive for the classification, the harmonized tariff schedule of the United States. So you have to match it because different years. So okay, and sometimes in the questions, the actual exam, some questions are really off for some whatever reason, but usually they could have like given credit to all, so you don't have to worry about it. So you don't try not to spend so much time on one question. Okay, my actual test experience. Okay. It's important to read the directions. So if you register for the exam, there's 2 complicated process. So it's really important to actually know when's the due date to pay the exam, and then there's a date to schedule the exam. So if you miss that out, it's really complicated. You have to email them. And you have to bring all your materials. And the three important things that you have to bring out is the admission notice, the government issue ID, and the proof of citizenship. This is important because during the test, I saw some people couldn't get in because they didn't bring their passport or something. Yeah, so you don't want to eliminate all possible problems right away.
What about driver license? If you have
no, but it doesn't prove that you're a citizen, right?
Oh, you need a passport or citizen papers.
Yeah.
So
best to bring passport and ID and the admission ticket. So you should always have a peace of mind. Well, I took the taxi because you have to bring the books, right? It's really heavy. So my friend, her wheels came off. It was disaster. I saw people holding boxes. It's really heavy. It's over 50 pounds. So try to bring the luggage and buy it. And so there's no parking there because it's reserved. Some people park there and then the instructor told them to move it or they'll get a fine. But I think some people took the fine instead. Okay. What could go wrong? So you didn't bring the documents. The actual testing is similar as this, like this desk right now, but wider. And you have to put your catalog racks, the books. So it's not like a cubicle, right? So you'll be facing to another test taker. It might be distracting, but that's how it is. And in the room is a bit warm. Maybe they turn up the heat a little. And you take the test on a laptop. So they assign you to the seats. And sometimes you have computer technical difficulties, so it just happens. You can't help it. Yeah. And some people carry the books and then with a box, cardboard box. I don't think you should do that. It's way, yeah, it's a good gym workout, I suggest. I passed the exam since, okay, I think after taking this course, you feel a lot more confident because there's a whole bunch of techniques the instructor tells you to do, and it's really important information that he provides you could bring into the test. My next step is to try to look for a full-time job, right? And I would like to visit the import-export fair that I recently heard about. It's really big in China. It's really, I would like to just visit to check it out. So that's something you guys might want to look into it. Okay, and I always believe that you should be open to learning and to listen to different opinions. Because after you get your license, there's a lot more information that you need to learn. And then you could, I'll let you join the National Custom Broker Forwarders Association. Okay. Okay, this quote. This is from Steve Jobs. Yeah. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Okay, I believe that you should always give value to others before taking anything. So hopefully my tips help you guys. Yeah.